How long have we been saying spring forward and fall behind?
Fall back.
Or fall back.
Fall back.
Fall behind too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either or.
Yeah.
It just,
I never said fall behind.
I always said fall back.
Fall back.
fall back. Yeah.
But I love spring forward.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. Is it nuts? Do you know what time it is? I just need to ask you what happens every November and second week of March is kind of a little cuckoo. And we want to weigh in on what you guys think about the cuckoo clocks changing each year to align with, I don't know what. It's not the sun coming up. It's not, I'm not even sure, like the school bus situation. I don't know exactly why we continue to still do this thing called daylight savings or moving to standard time. But Girls Gone Gritty want to know what you think about this controversial topic, guys. I mean, seriously, what's the deal?
Well, I don't know. With daylight savings time, it's so bright. You know, you got to wear your shades.
You got to
Are
wear
they
your shades.
on? Are they off? Daylight savings time that we'll refer to as DST. We shorten it up, as they do shorten up the evenings and the days here at daylight savings times. But my feeling on daylight saving time is this year it was really disruptive. We have a puppy, Sugar Bear, Bernese Mountain Dog puppy. And the puppy, instead of getting up at 6:30, at 5:30, howling. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. This is a total nightmare. He was so miscombobulated about the time. So 5:30 for literally 10 days, he was waking me up and then I don't go back to bed. But it's really disruptive to people's sleep habits, health. There's a lot of health problems. I mean, the list is pretty much endless what you do.
it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's very annoying.
And what I don't like is how depressed I become when it starts getting dark in the great north. Okay. For people that live south, you're not dealing with what we're dealing with. You know, it is cold here and it is dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're depressed. You want to slit your wrists because you're exhausted and you're yawning and you're like, should I have a cup of coffee? Well, no, I really shouldn't have a cup of coffee at 4:30. And then it's just, it makes no sense to me. It really is a depressing part of my life. I want to move south because of it.
Well, and for the people that again, this is like basic stuff, like probably not earth shattering for most of our viewers, but just think about it. The closer you are to the equator, very simple, the more daylight you have. It's just the way that the earth is. It's a fact. You can't have a controversy about that. So the more north you go, so our Canadian friends, we would go there at 2 o'clock and it's pitch black. And you're like, wait, what the hell? You're like, you don't even recognize why that is. And in the summertime, it's daylight until 10 o'clock at night. And that has nothing to do with you changing the clocks. That has to do with the position of the sun where it hits the northern hemisphere, which is where we live. The closer you are to the equator, our Florida friends, our people that are in Hawaii, you guys get a whole lot of sun. But you go north, Darian, you're in Vermont. The more north you go, the less light you get.
It's so dark. And you notice when you come November, December, you used to be able to, at the end of the day after work, go for a surf, go for a paddle. It's so dark that you can't. You have to kind of change your mindset and get up early. And all right, I'm going to go at 5:30 in the morning to go for a paddle because it's bright and sunny. So it almost turns you into like a super morning person, which I am. But in Vermont, it is so dark. The cool thing, though, is as kind of the time moves forward and the months move on, you start getting those like lighter hours come February and March. It's like lighter later and you're like, oh my God, spring's coming, more powder days. But it's your body really has to constantly adjust to this time change. And it's I don't know if it's good for you. I mean, I never really gave it much thought when we're like, hey, let's talk about it. I'm like, yeah, the thing that always bummed me out was, you wanted to wake up and go for a surf. And it was lighter for me then. But for the people that work all the time, you feel bad for him. I know Pat, he goes to surf and he's like, it's pitch black after work.
Comes out of work and there's no like opportunity. I'll tell you, let's give you a little history lesson on it because we had a debate the other day as we were talking about DST. Why and how did it evolve? And a lot of people think it has to do with farming, and it does not. It actually was created to save energy and make use of natural daylight during World War I. But we have to almost give props to the light bulb going off to Benjamin Franklin.
No, we are going to
He's
give
cool.
props to him
Okay.
because they try and give a little like asterisk. But when you have original thought and then somebody takes the original thought, like World War I was Ben Franklin 2.0. I'm sorry. I mean, Fart, just tell him what you read to us because I did not know Ben Franklin had any ideology in this.
1784, he came out with an essay titled The Economical Project, according to the Franklin Institute. And basically, it was to save money on candles, money, and lamp oil. So he proposed to the Parisians this was a way to cut back and reduce energy. Typically, I mean, oil was their energy, right?
Yeah, of
Candles
course.
was their energy. And obviously, it cost money to keep those things going. So he came up with the original light bulb moment. And then it actually came into play when it made sense in World War I for us to maybe even make things a little bit dark earlier so that people couldn't get bombed. Think about that.
Yeah,
My
right.
mom was born in Baltimore, in Annapolis, Baltimore, and it was a blackout on purpose because they turned off all of the electricity on that grid so that they could not be seen to be bombed.
So you can hide better and you can kind of move through town and
Which is why crime goes up when it's darker.
big time.
And they say that one of the beautiful things about it staying lighter is that the crime rate actually goes down a little bit because they can't really do it red-handed in the daylight.
They can't start earlier. That's really what it is because they're not because you're thieves. They sleep in.
Yeah, but nowadays, I'm sorry, but nowadays they're coming into your house.
Yeah, they kind of.
They don't care.
Yeah, no.
Checking to see if your keys hit the little button, like, because no one gets in trouble, so they could rob you anytime. But as we
We're in the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week cycle of the universe. Like you can get anything you want anytime you want. So why equal opportunity thievery is still on that list?
it's so true. What I loved about daylight saving time, when we used to party at clubs, I remember all of a sudden you're like, it's daylight savings time the night of,
You get an extra hour.
and you were so psyched. You're like, wait, it's 2:00. It got rolled back. We have another hour. So that's a benefit.
Oh my God. I was part of my group to always plan my high school reunion. And every single year I pick daylight savings.
No way.
I swear to God. Every time we have a reunion, every 5 years, we've had a reunion.
It gives you
We're like, we're picking daylight savings. So like, why are we picking the Saturday after Halloween every single year, Bernie? Heaney is my maiden name. Heaney, why are we doing that? I go, because we get an extra hour. They're like, what do you mean we get an extra hour? I'm like, how do you not know? Like, and the only reason, and like I said, so far, I did not know it was the second Saturday evening of March because there's no demarcation like Halloween. Because I can't stand the fact that Halloween they do after. To me, if you're going to make it lighter, like let's do it darker. Let's make it for the kids because the kids don't want to go out trick or treating until it's dark. Right. And now we are waiting and we just moved the clock and we're like, but it would have been better if we did it that way. So anyway, so for your party planning people, if you ever want an extra hour, it's the first weekend of November, second weekend of March. You lose an hour, so do not plan a party.
Yeah, I mean,
Spring forward.
You don't want to lose the hour.
how long have we been saying spring forward and fall behind?
Fall back.
Or fall back.
Fall back.
Fall behind too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either or.
Yeah.
It just
I never said fall behind.
I always said fall back.
Fall back.
fall back. Yeah.
But I love spring forward because
Spring forward?
all right, the flowers are blooming and people come out of their little caves that
Oh my
they've
God, it
living
feels
all
like-
winter. Like
Yes.
in New York City, it was like, oh my gosh, spring is here, and it's like places come alive in the spring, and it makes you realize and really appreciate like those dark days of winter.
Well, the darkest
Which I-
day is December 21st.
Yeah,
The darkest, longest day of the year is atrocious, and December 21st. So as we move there, it's going to get darker and darker and darker, people, just so you recognize that. You're not imagining that you feel that way. The darkness is real. And then after the 21st, it'll get better. And I don't think it gets better by much. I think it's like a couple of minutes, like maybe a minute each day or something in front of. Maybe you can fact check that for me.
well, it's interesting also that there's only not all 52 states do it. It's Arizona and Hawaii are the two that said no, we're not dealing with
And
that.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, and Puerto Rico, yeah. So 49.
I mean, they're close to the equator.
Exactly.
They
And
have.
it's better for the animals. It's better for the people. It's better for your health.
What about going 24/7 with sunlight? I mean, that would be crazy. You'd have to have some serious dark out shades.
Oh.
I don't even know how you live like that.
Well, we've been
with FOMO of
we've-
like beautiful weather and thinking something's going on that you're missing.
well, we go skiing every year for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. We would go to Alaska, and we'd go to Alaska and we'd ski, and we were making ski movies, and you'd ski like for hours. It never got dark. You were like,
People are making tea times at 1:00 in the morning.
I'm like, I wish it would get dark. My legs are tired. But
Is it Iceland? Like is it?
Yeah, it's
Iceland?
north,
Like
Iceland,
or-
all of that stuff. I mean, when I was in Reykjavik, it was the fall, and they have like no daylight. So whatever
Oh,
it's
kill
the
me.
extremes of whatever you get. So if you get a ton of daylight in the winter, I mean in the summer, then you get like no daylight in the winter. So that's why Reykjavik is a huge party town, because in the winter they're all inside, it's dark, and it doesn't matter.
Cool.
So they're just gonna rip it. And then in the summertime they're outside because it's so gorgeous.
I'd rather be down.
we were in Iceland shooting this TV show, and it was great. We went there twice, and we went there in the winter, the dead of winter, and then we went 6 months later. So you kind of went. It was like such a contrast because you got there and you had such a short window to film. You only had like a minimal hours to get out there, and that we changed kind of a lot of things that we were doing to adapt to the darkness. And then when we went in the spring for another episode, I mean, we shot until you were like, okay, we got everything. We could even leave it early because it just kept going and it was so bright. And you have to actually train your mind to go to sleep. We would go, I had that little eye mask, and you pull the shutters down, and you would have to go, okay, it's still bright daylight, but I have to go to sleep.
Well, most I was looking at this before. Most of Africa and Asia don't observe any of it. Like, so a lot of the countries that you would suspect are very like natural light is the way of my day, is the way of their life, which makes sense. But a lot of the more developed countries have gone away from this usage of the moving of the clocks, which in this global market is, Farley and I were talking about, just like, well, why can't towns, why can't certain states decide they're going to do it? Why can't Florida do it and nobody else? Well, how would that work? It's like it's 5 o'clock here and it's 4 o'clock there. I mean, that doesn't,
It's a
so
business.
it's a problem.
This
It's a
is the
problem.
thing. Like we were talking about it last night, and if you were to make this happen, like let's take away DST, our whole US is based around it. So like we've spent a lot of money to incorporate like DST in every facet of our life. So it would cost a lot of money for us to reverse it, and maybe 5 years out we would net and it would make sense. But a lot of things have to be undone.
In what way did you guys talk about, like, how I want to know, like, how does it cost us money? I don't understand that.
Because like think about everything that has standard time versus like daylight savings time on clocks. Like there's options.
Yep.
First of all,
Right.
so it all is intertwined in business, and like the way that we deal with so many different things because of the adjustment of the time factor. I don't even know how to explain it, but it already happens with a click of a button. Think about it. Like the cable companies automatically like do it. Like there is a system in place that we take for granted.
So somebody's basically missing out on money is what the real reality is that because it without, again, who cares who decides it?
Somebody's
It makes it easier. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
If I don't have to switch things back and forth, if I can just stay in one mode, whatever that mode is, that has to be less expensive from an energy and mental standpoint and everything else. So somebody doesn't want it, and
Politicians
that
have been pushing it though.
Well, listen,
but it hasn't installed in the House. It passed in the Senate,
Right.
and installed in the House, and I don't know why it's not coming up for any more conversation. I do think what
Money grab.
what's his name in Florida, Rubio, what he needs to do is find somebody in like the northern climate, because when Florida kind of came out with the Sunshine Act, I thought to myself, you guys don't even know what daylight savings is, because you barely are affected by this. Please stop. Please stop imposing your daylight problems and your sunshine problems on states like New Jersey, because
Rubio's getting behind it.
I know I'm saying, but like, you don't have a sunshine problem in Florida.
I actually read somewhere.
Maine got on board with this,
Or Vermont.
or Vermont. I think you might have more people that understood
read
the
something about.
concept.
So it's like we really need to reevaluate and look at the information.
Well, and that's literally because
It should be voted on.
lights don't require the energy that they used to. Like the
LED, baby.
lights that you used to turn on or the air conditioning or things like that used to require most of your energy. Now, because of technology and everything else, there's so much digitizing of everything, your computers and all of it, that's the energy usage of
What about
the
just
lighting.
common sense? If it's hotter out, then guess what? I'm using more air conditioning. I don't know. Or, there's a different way to look at it. If it's staying like lighter longer and you're in a hot climate, then you're consuming AC. No, that's energy.
But there's what I agree with what you're saying, Jen, is that things are more energy efficient. Equipment's more energy efficient.
Right.
So you're not drawing as much energy. Light bulbs are more efficient because you used to get a light bulb and if you left it on, within a month,
Right.
you saw the little piece in the middle was broken. You're like, replace it. Now you buy an LED light
And the energy
it's less-
consumption is
less.
it used to just be like, think about when we grew up.
Right.
Like, what was technologically drawing energy from your home when we were kids? It was your boiler, your lights, your
Refrigerator.
television, your refrigerator. Now think about the number of electronics that we plug in
Footprint is bad.
for everything.
like
and-
our phones.
all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And then they talk about, to just go on the energy piece for a second, because we're going to talk about this at some future point, I hope, in Girls Gone Gritty, is like where energy is going. And they talk about the fact that AI, that volume in which it's going to require the energy consumption to go up because of all of these technological processes are going like, not like this, like this.
They don't.
And that's why again, to go very topically on the situation, is why you hear like companies like Microsoft wanting to go nuclear, because that's how much more power they need. It's got nothing to do with the love of nuclear energy. It's
Right.
got to do with quick, cheap, easy power, because we use so much.
Lithium.
And that's a problem too.
That's a problem.
Frightening.
Those batteries that just explode in the back of your car or your house
Yeah.
it's super scary.
So it started with energy.
Right.
So it started with energy, and that's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to boil down to, do we need, and does it affect, again, back to our 24-hour news cycle, it kind of doesn't really matter what time of day it is. People are using energy now all the time.
Round the clock.
Yeah, they're turning their lights on in their house. We have lights here on Girls Gone Gritty on the set. You're turning lights on all the time.
Main argument in favor of daylight savings time is it saves energy, but research challenges how significant those savings really are. A 2008 U.S. Department of Energy report to Congress reported that electricity savings amount to 0.5% per each day of extended daylight savings time.
You're turning on something all the time.
The retail business actually makes out the daylight saving time.
Well, they sell more. The doors can stay open longer.
Yeah.
Let me tell you some of the negatives, okay? Mood disturbances.
Yep.
Big time. Big time mood
Oh my
disturbances.
God, I'm
Hospital
banged up. I'm banged up, I think, for like 3 days. Like spring forward is the worst. That one really bangs me up. But even this last one, I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm like, tired.
Inflammatory markers go up. I mean, it's like it's
Heart
a real
problems.
thing here. It's like
Albums, yeah.
car crashes because people are like a little like discombobulated or whatever. That the car crash number increases. So the mental health piece is huge because of just the darkness and being isolated, because now you're like, going back into your home, you're retreating instead of being. So it's like, what would be
Are
the
people
best?
having strokes and like heart attacks?
That goes up.
Everything like that goes up.
I mean, it's wild because of the circadian.
Circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm.
Animals, and like Darian was talking about her animals, and mine have been banged up too. It's like they wake up an hour earlier because nobody told my dog that it's 5:30, not 6:30. I couldn't be like, I'm not like, Blue, I'm sorry, you're a little early. We changed the clocks back last week. He's like, I'm up at the same time every day.
Freaking roosters are like going AWOL.
But you gotta go. You gotta go.
Well, I'm just going to read what a circadian rhythm is. It's the physical, mental, and behavioral changes of an organism's experiences over a 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of anti our natural rhythm,
Of course.
which is why everybody becomes cuckoo blue. Like the American Academy of Sleep Machine and Medicine in 2020, however, issued a position statement saying that the United States should get rid of the seasonal time change and go with a national fixed year-round time, favoring standard time because it aligns best with human circadian biology and provides distinct benefits for public health and safety. Daylight savings time, the Academy says, results in more darkness in the mornings and more light at night, which disrupts the body's natural rhythm. The statement, which was published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine, points out that switching between standard time and daylight savings time is linked with a number of health concerns, including an increase in strokes, hospital visits due to acute atrial fibrillation, sleep loss, and that traffic fatalities increase as much as 6% in the first few days of the time switch to daylight savings time.
Well, we're not nocturnal. Well, some humans are. Sorry to my barflies, but
Yeah.
like most humans go to bed when it gets dark enough, whatever that is. For I think most people I talk to, anytime it's most people's bedtime is between, let's call it 9 and 11 for most people. Of course, there's obviously deviations of that, and most people again get up between 6 and 8 most. And if you look at the natural rhythm of the sun for most places, it's closer in line with that. It's closer in line with that timeline with the sun coming up and the sun going down. Maybe it's an hour or two later. And if you look at the way like anthropologically that societies were built, would say they got up in the morning and they got their work done and they worked all day until they were tired. And then as they retired, community came together and then they would sit by a fire at night as the sun went down to enjoy each other's company by the fire, and then retire for bed. And we've gone away completely on so many of aspects of that. But that's why I think going back, I'm all in.
I was going to ask,
I'm all in
are you
for
for or against?
getting rid of daylight savings time. I think it's just it's an unnecessary addition to where society is anymore. And I also think that if you don't like the light where you live, then maybe you don't live in the right place. There's some people that need to live in Florida.
Are you for or are you against?
I'm a Floridian, so to me, I like to max out my sunshine. I don't want to take away sun from daylight, in the opposite season up north here. I don't want to shorten our summers, right? I think I'm married to a warmer climate because I'm closer to the equator. I like to wake up when the sun kind of rises. I like to kind of like tone down things when the sun sets. I'm a sunrise sunset person. So if I can max out my awake time with the sunshine, that works for me. That's how I thrive.
Well, but wait, just so we're clear, and I'm asking before we continue because I want to clarify what you just said. That I think that by not adjusting the clock in the fall is actually what would be the reality here. Right.
Yeah.
So we would be darker longer in the evening.
No.
We're darker all the time because we're more north of the equator. Like there's no change. There's no change. At the end of the day, there's no changing the amount of daylight. It's just a matter of what the daytime looks like.
I feel like if we didn't change things in the winter here, in the summer, our summers would be a little bit shorter.
Your summers and springs are shorter.
Yeah.
If you keep it that way. So for me, I like to extend my summer and spring because winter, you're cold, you're inside.
And winter is 9 months.
And it's 9 months long.
Or 8. We love October. We love
but I love
November. We love September.
Extend my summer and spring months. So I kind of like it the way it is. And it's just a habit. It's okay. We're going to spring forward now. We're going to,
but June, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think what I'm trying to get at is June 21st is the longest day of the year.
Right. Well, towards the end of summer, the summers are getting longer. The sunlight is getting longer.
No. It's going
it backwards.
That's what I'm trying to say. So let's just stay with this thought for our people listening audience. So we extrapolate out because we want to use our walk.
It's at 9 o'clock.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing about Girls Gone Gritty.
Going into fall.
You need to use your brain sometimes. And instead of just Googling the answer, is like, let's think about this from a very basic standpoint, right? If December 21st, we know for a fact is the shortest day of the year.
Okay.
Right. And we know June 21st is the longest day of the year. It's going to be moving bigger.
Backwards.
It's going to, all right. Let's just forget about the time, right? Long and short, right? Longest day of the year is June. And then it's going to go less and less and less and less and less and less and less up until the shortest day of the year.
Right.
Because in September, it's equal, right? That's the equinox, right?
Yeah.
21st is equal. 21st is equal. And then we get shorter. So in the middle of September, we have equal days
So
of
from
light.
June 21st, it starts going a little bit backwards because it's now reached its longest and now it starts to go back.
Correct.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like forgetting about what time it is, like thinking about where your light is and where you are, because it gets better the more south you get. You get
Yeah.
more of it the
I
more
think
south
that's
you
why
get.
I'm confused because,
But
but here I can
think-
walk my dog at like 8:45 in the middle of summer. Okay, that makes sense,
Right.
June, and it's still light out.
Correct.
But then you can start seeing like it gets dusky,
As the
like
closer you
at
move
the end of
toward.
July, like August, but it still feels
But
like
spring and summer, you are forward. You can wake up early and it's sunny out. You go to bed, it's sunny out. So say you take that back and you're stuck in daylight.
it's like for the
saving
people
time.
that are not getting any time after work, they've got to get up
That's-
early and surf.
That's what I feel bad
Right.
for them.
They got to get up at 4:45 to crack it for like a little sesh and then go to work because when they come home it's dark.
Because it's really all about the sports. It's what we really all care about.
It really is. It's true. Well, it's about maximizing.
See, we're boggled because it's daylight savings time.
And it's maximizing your light is really what we're trying to do. And
I
it's like,
am for that
and
all
it's
the
like,
way.
does it really? The question remains is, does it really help people maximize their light and their energy that they can utilize the daylight in? Right.
I
That's
think we're
really the
healthier.
question.
I think we're healthier humans when we're consuming vitamin C, D, anything that puts you outside. I mean, like that's what we are.
You've got to move back to Florida.
I will.
Oh, please don't. I don't
But
want
the
to.
weird thing is here I am like depleted of D. Like I went and got my hormones checked because of course I am like a little nuts right now. I can't think of like anything except for sunshine because it makes me happy. And I do get depressed in this time of year and it lasts too long for me. And now I understand why snowbirds are snowbirds.
Well, it hasn't even gotten dark yet, so I hope.
Yeah. Does your doctor talk about going under the vitamin D because that's something that people always talk about?
I had like none and I'm tan and I'm like
sunlight.
I'm always outside,
But
even in the winter.
That's the vaccine.
No, but I thought that the vitamin D is more of a hormonal vitamin. It's not. It's like they're looking at it as in a different. Did your doctor talk to you about that at all?
He told me that the reason I blew out my ACL is because I was depleted of vitamin D.
Vitamin D you need a lot of it, and especially as you get older.
Yeah, and the sun does provide it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like
there's a
hormonal aspect to
It's a lot
vitamin
of
D.
everything.
You can
Yes.
take
Let's
about
see.
10,000 milligrams of vitamin D a day.
Do you take that much?
I take that much.
Well, I did
10
because I was depleted.
10,000.
Now I don't.
You do?
Well, it depletes you, and then you have to kind of fill it up, but you have to constantly look and check your levels because it gets sucked out of your body.
It's bone health, it's immune function, it's mood, it's cancer preventative, it's weight loss,
Yeah. No,
nutrition, heart disease, type 2 diabetes. And if you are vitamin D deficient, it causes brittle bones. That's why they said I blew out my ACL because it also affects your tendons and your ligaments.
Right.
Which is very interesting because I would never have thought that. I always thought like vitamin D was just, you know what? Honestly, I think I almost thought of it like scurvy. Like people that don't get fruit and don't get vitamin D, like, shrivel up or something. I don't know what I thought, but
Yeah,
vitamin
but-
D is so important as we get older.
and it says it is a hormone. But and again, this is a Google like AI search, so I'm not even sure that that's true. But there are people that like do different things other than just the replacements because it is more complicated than other like supplemental type of vitamins. In air quotes, like it doesn't. From what I had learned about it at one point was it operates in a more complex nature to your point of like how intricate it is and vital than just like popping a vitamin C because you're feeling like you're coming out with a cold. Wait, Darian, we didn't talk about, are you thumbs up or thumbs down? Your thumbs up for daylight savings?
I like it the way it is. It's been that way. I don't know any other way. Actually, never really thought about it that much until we said, "Hey, let's talk about daylight savings time," because it's just
You like this time of year right now? You like the way the sun is?
Yeah.
You like that it gets dark at 4:30?
I don't.
All right.
See, I don't mind it.
So you're for the
because-
Sunshine Act or against the Sunshine Act? If
I am like it the way it is. Right
no
now.
Sunshine Act, the Sunshine Act should never get out of the house. Farley, Sunshine Act, the way that it is to eradicate daylight savings. You're for or against it? It's before Congress right now. You voting for it or you're not voting for it?
I am all about maximizing sunshine and while I'm awake.
So you're
So if
for
that-
changing it,
I am for changing it.
and you're for changing it.
I'm for going back.
I'm anti-DST.
I want to go to a place where humans get out of the natural way of being. And again, I think it stinks if you're in a climate like there's people that, like I said, that live in places that never see the sun. You don't
See,
like
you
it?
grew up here.
You don't like it, you
This
should
is
move.
you grew up here too, but it's funny because I really think because I'm from Florida and I grew up closer to the equator, we don't suffer. Like you barely feel the blip, like when you,
Because you don't.
well, there's a little blip. I know, but there's a minor.
You don't. Like the people in Hawaii don't either.
It's like you can sleep in better.
Well,
Like it's a little darker in the morning and you're like, oh,
So I'm voting for getting rid of it. You're voting for getting rid of it.
yes.
You're voting for keeping it the
I
way it
wake
is.
up at we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and we're skinning to sunrise. Like you're hiking up the mountain with the sunrise and able to ski down your whole morning.
You're getting powder
routine.
before anybody else is on the mountain.
You're done at
This way.
7:30.
Yeah.
And then I like
See, but that's your sport. That's exactly it.
that's
Whereas me, like, I don't mind sleeping in a little bit. I like that it's a little bit darker in the mornings. I'm selfish. Like, I want as much sun as possible. I'd like to sleep in a little bit because I can't anymore because I'm married to your brother who sets an alarm no matter what day of the week it is for like 6:30, and I'm
was
just
my dad.
now wired. But in my perfect life, I like the idea of being able to sleep in a little bit because it's still dark out. I don't like it getting too dark too early because I want to feel like I can enjoy a sunset. I can't enjoy a sunset at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I'm not racing to go see it. I'm like trying to figure out what I'm making for dinner. I'm in the grocery store or I'm like
Cali
going to a
baby.
sporting event with my kid or whatever. It's
See, that's why I think I like September so much. And I think I just had that light bulb moment because I feel like it's
middle.
balanced.
yeah,
Yep.
It's more balanced.
it's my
And I-
favorite month.
and I-
It's my birthday.
And I love the energy of like the newness of September. September's absolutely my favorite month.
Agreed.
All of it. But that is like the spot on reason. It's because the days are more balanced.
Well, you know what? Have a really good time if you live up north for the next, I don't know, oppressive 6 months.
I can't
Go on vacation south. Yes, or go to Vermont, ski and crack it and get freshies. How would that work out? That's how you would see what type of business. That's how we could actually do a fun little kind of, experiment. If we didn't change our clocks, how does it affect us in the normal like flow of
I'd be late for everything or really early.
Very true. Exactly. All right.
And here at Girls Gone Gritty, we're constantly learning and researching and figuring things out, and we love it.
And we want to know what you think.
Don't lose sleep over this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Girls Gone Gritty.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.